Ever since their founding in 1906, New Balance has had one main focus: comfort. They even prioritize comfort over aesthetics. And you know who loves comfort? Dads. So the joke became that New Balance was the unofficial shoe of dads everywhere. But this joke came at the expense of New Balance, whose sales started to decline. But one thing about New Balance is they've always been proud to be different, and we see this in their early marketing. Taking a look at their old ads, they had this distinct voice and strong identity. They even had a boldness to go after their competitors. In this ad, they're implying their competitors' shoes feel like a brick. And New Balance always led with what set them apart. And it starts with comfort. One major selling point was their shoes were available in all widths and sizes. So because they fit better, they performed better too. Then there was the fact that they were made in the USA. In the 80s, major shoe brands were all moving their manufacturing overseas to cut down on costs. But New Balance held off because they took huge pride in their craftsmanship and the durability of their shoes. But this move was seen as financially risky since their shoes would be more expensive to make. But New Balance did not care. In 1982, they released the 990. It was the first sneaker ever to be priced at $100, which is about $350 in today's money. It was packed with technology that was ahead of its time, but they were not done yet. They then released the 1300, which was even more expensive. And they were so confident that these shoes were worth it that they led with a bold headline: "Mortgage the house." And nowhere were the 1300s more popular than in Japan. At the time, Japan was experiencing the start of a huge wave of love for American culture. Japan loved the craftsmanship, the attention to detail, and the American-made heritage of New Balance. And New Balance recognized Japan's love by officially renaming it the 1300 JP. Another part of the world that's always loved New Balance is Washington, D.C. and the DMV area. In the 1980s, streetwear was on the rise all over the country. In New York City, the aesthetic was bold and expressive, but the DMV preferred a more understated style. This drew them to New Balance. The 990s became a status symbol in the DMV. They were comfortable, expensive, and had that factor of if you know, you know. And the DMV has been loyal to New Balance ever since. And instead of taking it for granted, New Balance has returned this love to the DMV. They release exclusive colorways inspired by the DMV. They even asked the community for their input on the shoes. They also collaborated with DC designer Al Hamid on limited edition 990s, and he made sure that the release included kids sizes to show the kids in DC that they too can one day collaborate with their favorite brand. And collabs have been a huge part of New Balance's strategy. In the mid-2000s, New Balance started collaborating with other brands. The collabs were successful, but they mainly attracted the same audience of sneaker collectors every time. So to bring new customers into the brand, New Balance changed their collab strategy. First off, they gave their collaborators full creative freedom to express themselves. For their collab with Salehi Bembury, he showed his love for the outdoors in incredibly creative ways. He even put a fully functioning whistle on the heel of the shoe just in case you needed it on a hike. New Balance also collabs with incredible storytellers like Joe Freshgoods. His campaign videos capture the culture and the inside jokes of the Black community. For his Outside Clothes release, the shoes in the campaign were inspired by the summer cookouts he grew up having on the south side of Chicago. And the video ends with a line that's so simple yet so perfect when a mother tells her kid, "You smell like outside." Another major collaborator is Aimé Leon Dore. They went into the New Balance archives and brought back a forgotten basketball shoe from 1989 called the 550s. And the 550s took the sneaker world by storm in 2020. And I love that they even recreate old New Balance ads. Remember that these are running shoes, so they could be worn for a run or a grocery run. And this versatility has always been a part of New Balance's DNA. In 1982, they released the 730. The idea was that you could wear them to the office, then go for a run on your lunch break. This was pretty unheard of at the time. Running shoes usually came in bright, flashy colors, whereas the 730s were more understated. And these shoes became a hit with icons like Andy Warhol and Steve Jobs. But they didn't wear them to go for a run. They wore them for their style and comfort. And this is when when New Balance realized they need to be making shoes with lifestyle use in mind. It's a pivotal moment because that's where the brand is winning today. And according to data by Tracksuit, people consider New Balance shoes to be more wearable than other brands. And no color is more wearable than gray. Gray is the quintessential New Balance color, and it always has been. And the reason it came to be was actually functional. They found that gray shoes were great for city running because they didn't show as much dirt. And now New Balance is looking to own the color gray. Just like Tiffany's owns their blue and Hermes owns their orange, New Balance is creating a strong mental connection between their brand and the color gray. And the way they're doing it is genius. They have a yearly campaign called Gray Days where they release limited edition gray products. And this year they brought it all together with an amazing campaign video. Everything about this video is gray, but the best part about it is the storytelling. It's a series of vignettes from the subcultures that make up the world of New Balance. From Japan all the way to the DMV, we see what the New Balance gray means to them. And another subculture that's key in New Balance's story is skateboarding. In 2013, New Balance started their skate label called Numeric. Now this was a big challenge because the skate community is very wary of posers. They've seen too many brands with the wrong intentions trying to cash in on skate culture. But New Balance approached it in such a smart and sensible way. First off, they put together a team of employees who are all passionate about skating and have extensive industry experience. And they have a legendary skate shoe designer, and he even does ollies in the shoes to test them out. Their skate content is amazing. The videos are just as much about the tricks as they are about experiencing a city from the perspective of a skater. But their biggest statement was when they signed Andrew Reynolds in 2022. Reynolds is a living legend, and this partnership created the most anticipated skate shoe ever. Andrew Reynolds went pro when he was 16, and he's still skating professionally at the age of 47. So he was looking for shoes that would allow him to skate pain-free. So he went and bought every major skate shoe on the market, and he cut them up to see which ones were the most supportive. The answer was New Balance. So he teamed up with them and created a shoe specifically designed for his needs. The 933 dropped a few months ago and was a huge hit in the skate community. And speaking of ambassadors, New Balance has some of the biggest athletes in sports today. And one of them is Shohei Ohtani, who's the biggest baseball player in the world. And it's a full circle moment because a key factor in him joining New Balance was their longtime connection with Japan. And New Balance's team is stacked with big names, but it's still a small team compared to other major brands, which allows them to do more with their ambassadors. For example, Coco Gauff is the face of their new collaboration with Miu Miu, and she's actually the only player on the women's tour with her own signature shoe. Another huge talent on their team is Cooper Flagg. He was the #1 pick in this year's NBA draft, and he could have signed with any brand he wanted. But the thing is, he grew up 25 miles from the New Balance factory in Maine. He grew up buying from the factory's tent sale every year. So when New Balance were pitching him, they sealed the deal by showing him a personal video that their factory workers made for him. And I love that New Balance celebrates their factory workers. They even made special edition shoes dedicated to their 3 longest serving craftspeople in the UK. And craft is in the DNA of New Balance. This obsession over quality, of taking the long way to make things properly, and it translates into trust from the consumer. According to data from Tracksuit, people consider New Balance to be more durable than their competitors. What's amazing is that New Balance fans even celebrate their shoes aging. It's almost like a badge of honor when the soles start to yellow. And the best way to describe it is, it's not good because it's old because it's good. And when the trend became all about dad shoes in the late 2010s, New Balance was perfectly positioned to benefit. But the thing is, New Balance never stopped making dad shoes, even when they were being ridiculed for it. They were always proud of who they were. And New Balance might just be the only brand you could stay with through every stage of your life. From when you're chasing after your friends on the playground, to chasing after your career, to one day chasing after your own kids. What brand do you want me to break down next?